Welcome again to the Analytics, Big Data and the Cloud Conference at West Edmonton Mall's Fantasyland. We are joined now by two gentlemen we just met. We've got Mark Hamblin right here, and you're with Dynamic Manufacturing Solutions. And we've also got Vasu Netrakanti with Optessa. Now, the topic that I've got here that you were talking about was when machines decide, and when it comes to manufacturing. You say it's a little bit of a misnomer.
Well, if we're talking about in the Alberta industry, there is really a lack of automation and robotics and things like that. So there are no machines to decide if we're talking about sort of oil field manufacturing in Alberta, which is the largest sector or largest number of manufacturers that we find in Alberta.
Mm-hmm. So how does this conference fit in with what we've got as far as manufacturing goes in Alberta?
Well, I think it's really a good opportunity to educate people on the state of analytics and the potential for analytics within manufacturing in Alberta, because nobody's really necessarily looking at that currently. Mm-hmm. They're fairly low tech. They're using paper-based systems currently, but they do have a wealth of information within their facilities that they could be leveraging to analyze and improve profitability.
Vasu, your thoughts on that?
So our view is, our company works in the space of optimized scheduling, which is really algorithmic applications based on data that's been collected. We work with large industries like the auto industry, where a lot of the data collection has already been automated. And so once data collection has been automated, it's important to have predictive analytics in the form of scheduling that can improve productivity. So that's our view. And we really come in after, Mark's, after the kind of approaches that Mark's company have already been put in place.
From what I gather, from what I've learned so far, is when we're talking big data and analytics, it might be labor intensive at first to try and gather everything, and then after that, maintaining the database. Is it fair to say that that's an easier job?
Well, again, there's two worldviews here. So one is companies that are actually acquiring large amounts of data in real time, and are populating databases in real time, and which is where a lot of analytics can be applied. The other is cases where the data is not being collected or recorded into databases, and which is usually the first step. That is, before you do any analytics, you should build up your databases first.
Mark, what would you like to see happen here in Alberta?
Well, definitely more automated data collection, more automation. If we compare Alberta to jurisdictions like Ontario, we're actually lagging. And that's where organizations like the NATE Shell Manufacturing Centre come into play to help educate Alberta manufacturers. We're engaged with them as well to try and drive that technology adoption. So really we're hoping to see broader technology adoption, more data collected so that we can do more analysis, so that we can drive efficiencies and productivity.
Mm-hmm. Are you concerned at all about the amount of data that could be collected or what it might be used for? Any concerns?
No, typically in a manufacturing environment, the only sort of personal information that you might be concerned about are time card records, those types of things. But generally, no, there's no sort of privacy or proprietary information that might escape, and cause damage to the organization. If we're talking about engineering data, that's a separate matter. But really, the shop floor data that we're using to drive efficiencies, there's not much concern.
Do you share his opinion on that?
Yes, I do. And what's also happening is that large manufacturers are interested in analytics applications, and to that extent, they're prepared to share their data. And this is not personal data. But we have actually evolved interesting business models with one of the world's largest auto manufacturers, where we can actually get at their data to run through our applications. And while we cannot share the data or publicize the data in any form, we are definitely at liberty to promote the results of our analysis, because they see a benefit in this kind of an approach. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be, as analytics applications evolve, there's going to be a change in thinking of large manufacturing companies globally, where they realize that unless they share their large data sets, they're not going to see the benefits of interesting ideas of how the data can be analyzed.
Well, and this would be quite a shift, because up until now, I imagine they keep a lot of their research and technologies quite secret.
Well, yeah. So the data we are referring to is shop floor tracking data, sales order data. Mm-hmm. So this is proprietary. I mean, clearly they would not like to see the sales order data exchanged with the competitor or shared with the competitor. But what they're interested in is in making the data available so that useful analysis can be performed, and the results of the analysis, which could be interesting insights for them or technology that they might later buy, that such analysis is facilitated.
Great. Mark, where do you see us going now? You say Alberta's behind. You like what you're seeing at NATE. Is this something that requires just industry's will, or is this government will as well? Who has to get moving on this?
I think a little of both. You know, the government stepped up. They've got technology grants available to manufacturers to, you know, adopt new technologies. But really, industry has to recognize that they are behind, that they, you know, their productivity is suffering because they don't have enough information to make appropriate decisions.
Okay. And here in Alberta, we pride ourselves on being able to get things done.
Exactly.
So do you expect to see a quick change in this?
Yeah, I see it ramping up more and more. So from 5-10 years ago compared to today, there's a lot more people that have been educated on the advantages of taking a more technological approach to these problems. So I see it improving fairly rapidly from now on.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Before we go in this segment, we also want to give a little bit of a shout out. We're getting hits from 32 countries around the world. Apparently we're quite big in Oslo, Norway, Uruguay as well, Australia, which is kind of fascinating. And this is all part of analytics as well, because we're able to figure out exactly where we're being seen as well. So thanks everyone for watching, and we're going to take a quick break from this live stream. We've got some more programming for you coming right up.